Good evening, this is Ken Long from Tortoise Capital. I want to take a look at 3 trade frames for tomorrow. It's August 5th, 2015 right now. So this is for the 6th of August. 3 trade frames and then a couple answers to quizzes from the chat room. The first one is a daily compression or a daily squeeze pinch in LLY Lily. This is where we were trading it back during the Kansas City live trading workshop, and we've been keeping it on our radar screen ever since. So what we have here is a compression on the daily, and the range stat divided by the range risk is better than 2 to 1. So what we want to see is an orderly entry in the yellow zone inside yesterday's range, and then long if it takes out the top of the dragon and by a nickel, which is yesterday's high plus a nickel, and we would go short on this one if it takes out the initial stop here. So we're looking about $1.20 of risk. On the upside, the first price target I'm looking at is naturally the Bollinger Band mean, but really the top of the dragon where he rolls over, that looks like a reasonable target, and then where the RL10 rolled over, we've got a target set up there as well. Here's the 270 regression line is nice. You can see the Z3 Bollinger Bands are starting to pinch. See the river flattening off. The dragon has swum from the far side of the river to the near side. What I like is that it's had about 8 days to fail further, and it hasn't. And today's price would finish slightly higher, so there's a slight uptick in here. Now we've got room to the far side of the river for a reasonable trade, and then reasons to like it if it goes beyond. So Lily. This is Bristol Myers Squibb. This is also a daily pinch. You can see it's had some nice range expansion days. It came down to Z minus 2.5. It's had 5 days to fail further. It hasn't. Today was a nice pinched day, and so I'll buy it 5 cents above. We're short at 5 cents below. If it's below, I'm looking for a retest of the lows. If it takes this out, I'm looking around the Bollinger Band mean, then the RL90, the top of the dragon in the usual spot, and then the return to the RL270. I just want you to notice that this one is an RLFF trade essentially, where we're looking at this divergence in the opinions of the long-term traders expressed by the 270 and the short-term traders, the RL10, and that creates a quite a large difference of opinion. The last time it had such a difference, it closed that gap, and so we've had 5 days for more failure, but it hasn't failed. Again, the dragon has swum from one side of the river to the other, and we've got a reasonable template for the upside. The next one we like, if I can get this up here, there we go. This is Procter & Gamble, and this also is an RLFF type candidate. The divergence between the RL270 and the RL10 is what makes this one extreme. It's had 2 days to fail further. It hasn't. It's already out at Z minus 3. This one is a little trickier. The RL10 has not started to turn yet. The dragon, however, has swum from one side of the river to the other. I'm ready to trade this one because it's Procter & Gamble. It's a Dow stock, and if we get any kind of price move, that's going to be seen as a buy on dip opportunity. I feel like this painful selling is over based on a double bottom here, 2 days where it didn't really make a new low. But if it does make a new low, I'm willing to go short. But I'll go long here at about 76.60. First target, edge of the river. Second target, Bollinger Band mean. Third target, the combination of the 270 and the far side of the river. So I like that trade frame a lot. Okay, I want to shift to some quizzes, and these call these the blue circle quizzes. The first one was on XIV, This was a trade we actually took. We ended up getting the exit right up in this region shortly thereafter. So the first blue circle, you can see, we started stalking it here. First blue circle is highlighted because it touched Z-3. Second blue circle, we have the 1030 RLCO crossover. We get an entry here in the green circle when the RL10 passes through the dragon. That's the RLXD. You notice the dragon will have turned. Here we have the RL30 crossing the 90. That is the same thing as a 1030 crossover, but on the next higher chart. So if we looked up at 9-minute or 10-minute, we'd see a 1030 crossover. Here we have the RL30 crossing the Bollinger Band mean. That's always a good sign. Here we have the RL30 leaving the river. That's the beginning of trending behavior right in here, because now we have price, the 10, and the 30 all have left the river. And here we have the dragon is out of the river, and we have also had price and the dragon meet. Sorry about that. We have the price and the dragon meet in the VWAP, and it went up and touched the RL270, so that looked pretty reasonable. Those are the points of the trade. At the moment of stalking, what we're looking at for estimates of fair value would be a return to the VWAP, which it did, a return to the RL270, which it approximately did. Notice how that price decayed just a little bit. All right, the next one is Netflix. Not much different. I mean, this is a standard pattern for us here. So we have the RL, or we have the Z3 with price here. That's why we're stalking this one. We have the RLCO outside the river. We have an entry on the God dang it. We have the entry when the RL10 leaves the dragon. We have the RL30 crossing the 90. We have the RL30 crossing the Bollinger Band mean. We have the RL30 leaving the river. That's the beginning of trending behavior. But shortly thereafter, we had the RLCO crossover. This looked like a good trade. The rest of the market was starting to tank. We were only halfway to the VWAP and it was starting to fail. Then after this big, almost a flash crash looking spike down, the RL10 turned. We ended up taking the next trade on this one with the RL10 leaving the river again, or leaving the dragon again. That's the RLXD with a target at the VWAP. On this entry, our targets for prices were the far side of the river, the Z plus 2, and then a combination of Z plus 3 and the VWAP. And this one was hit, and then later on that day, this one in this trade, this one was also hit. So that's the answer to the quizzes. Those blue circles give us checkpoints along the way. I want you to think of that as stepping stones that confirm that this trade is underway and in our favor, based on Z3, RLCO, the 30 crosses the 90, 30 crosses the Bollinger Band mean, 30 leaves the river, then this last RLCO crossover. So that's the answer to the quizzes from the chat room today. And keep your risk measured and your powder dry. We'll see you in the chat room.